Everyone Included is a vision for the future of healthcare based on a framework of mutual respect and inclusivity. We believe everyone should be respected for the expertise they can bring to discussions about the future of healthcare. Here are some of our stories.
It was in the afternoon, I was reading, and I pick up the phone, and it's this guy with a very heavy accent. And he goes through his whole spiel, hi, I'm calling from the heart transplant program. He said, we need you here in 3 hours. Okay, we have to leave now. And we pulled up to the main hospital. It was the first time I'd ever been there at night. Basically what happens is the team that will be operating on you flies out to wherever it is. In this case, the heart wasn't close by. And at that point, they wait because they will not take the heart out of the donor until you, the recipient, is physically at the hospital. And at that point, I was being prepped for surgery. They put me out first, and then they brought the heart in. At 13, I was diagnosed with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. I was running on a treadmill in the garage, and I just went into a cardiac seizure, had a implanted cardioverter defibrillator put in. So that really changed the trajectory. It was no more sports anymore, no more contact anything. So after almost 10 years of having hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, it was determined that the heart was too sick now to continue working in the same way it was before. It's a difficult emotion because you want the call so badly, you're so tired of waiting, but you also don't want the call to come because you want to spend time with your native body and you don't want to be invaded. And transplant is obviously a massive surgery and there's always the risk of complications. And more than that, I really identified with HCM. I kind of didn't want to lose it because I knew what it entailed. I knew at that point how my heart worked. I mean, it was a piece of me. And you also didn't want the call to come because you knew what that meant for the donor. And I really don't like that train of thought. I think there's a lot of people in the transplant community who think, oh, someone had to pass away for me to live. I'm much more comfortable sitting in the zone of someone was going to pass away anyway, and it's wonderful that they're making the choice to let somebody else live on. It took a long time for me to feel anywhere close to my old self. It's really incredible to be able to get through a full workday and have the energy to do so, to be able to go hiking with my friends. And there's so much gratitude that goes into the fact that people are willing to donate their organs. And so you really realize how fortunate you are. But that's not at all mutually exclusive for the shit you go through once you have it. I think I've been trying to navigate that balance of gratitude and realism and relating that to other people who have chronic illness. You can still be very lucky to get a transplant. You can still have an incredible support network. You can have no complications, and you're still allowed to be mad at the universe for giving you this problem. Even though I feel like I've aged 10 years in the last year, I'm also very grateful for knowing that possibly the most difficult part of my life is behind me. My experience in healthcare started really when I was 13. I was diagnosed with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is the thickening of the left ventricle of the heart. And that was diagnosed when I was running on a treadmill and went into a sudden cardiac arrest. That fortunately was aborted from sudden cardiac death. I had an implanted defibrillator put in, and I had that over the next 10 years. And then in 2015, my heart muscle health had declined pretty significantly. And then in February of 2016, on February 3rd, I had my heart transplant. So I would say I'm still definitely an involved patient in my care. I tend to fall into a lot of small percentages of rare mutations or variations or complications. So I honestly can't remember how many research studies I've opted into. A lot of my advocacy work for my own conditions comes from a basis of wanting to aim for precision medicine. What I understand PCOR, or patient-centered outcomes research, to be is research studies that are focused more on the whole patient rather than the condition. How can we study this specific mutation in order to help patients with this condition better plan for the future? My research experience has ranged from taking a vial of blood to I've been in a decade-long research study with Stanford. One where I saw direct immediate results. That was probably the most validating study I participated in, was when I was asked if I would donate pieces of my heart to a specific lab, and the woman who had asked if I would do that had offered to photograph my heart right after it had been explanted. So the day after my transplant, I got photos, which was just incredible. And a couple months later, I got to actually go in and hold some of the pieces. It was definitely super rewarding because she was so focused on, honoring the fact that I was literally giving them a part of myself for this study. I think my ideal involvement for patients in research stems from a code of transparency. I think that there have been studies where someone has come into the room and gone through the legal jargon that I'm supposed to sign, but I don't really understand where it's going. I just sort of innately trust that it's being taken for a good reason. And there have been times when I don't feel that way. I don't have that inherent trust. So I think really understanding and giving the patient that validation of this is going to be used for something that could either help you directly or could help people like you. That's knowing that it's going to be directed towards people and not necessarily just towards some scientific discovery that someone can put their name on. I think that's really impactful and a reason that someone would stay involved. Researchers who want to get patients involved, I think they should approach it kind of like a business transaction. What is the patient going to get out of it? What's both the opportunity cost of participating and what is the ROI at the end of the day? And that can totally vary, even if the researcher doesn't necessarily know the outcome, if the study's just for the sake of discovery and trying to find something else, I think promising the patient that they will keep them informed or updated about what they do discover is so crucial.
Hey there folks, Larry Chu here from Medicine X, wishing you happy holidays and best wishes for a happy 2018. As we move into the new year, we have so many reasons to be thankful and so many reasons to celebrate. I know you've heard us talk a lot about patient partnership in research by now as something we should be teaching others as the right thing to do. And I hope Leilani's message today shows you the importance also of thinking about how our work matters to the lives of those we study, and why we should think about ways to give back to those we take data and biological samples from, and those who participate in our studies. So as you begin the new year, I hope you will also think of ways that patients and participants in research can bring value to healthcare, research, and education beyond just the donation of their data and their biological samples, and how that value can be returned back to them as well. So until 2018, from all of us at Medicine X, happy holidays and best wishes to you and your loved ones.